Cricket podcast with me, Lily. Now this week I am solo. I am going by myself this week because Ollie is interstate. So this episode is just going to be me. There has been, some more cricket over in England at the moment. Still not much happening over here, but the Rachel Hayhoe-Flint Trophy has commenced over in England. And there have been 4 games that have happened so far. So before I jump into this week's interview, I just thought I'd go over the results. So the first game was Central Sparks versus Southern Vipers, which was an interesting rematch from the Charlotte Edwards Cup. And the Southern Vipers did come out victorious in this game, and it was rain affected, so they had a shorter amount of overs. But yeah, Southern Vipers again, absolutely smashing it, just so strong and really good performances all round by the Vipers. There was wickets shared out pretty evenly from the Vipers bowling attack, and Danny Wyatt 36 not out, Maya Boucher 20. Georgia Adams got none as the opening captain though, so interesting there. But from the Central Sparks batting side, Eve Jones 39. Davina Perrin also opening the batting with Eve Jones, who got 22. Thea Brooks 13. Amy Campbell 16. Sarah Glenn 15. So pretty even runs across there. I think it's really good to see Davina Perrin open the batting. She's very young, younger than me. So to see her do so well is really brilliant, and definitely a future star to keep your eye out for there. So yeah, Vipers are already doing very well and showing that they want to retain that Rachel Hayhoe-Flint Trophy. Now, next game was the South East Stars versus the Sunrisers, where the South East Stars won by 80 runs. It was a good performance all round from many players in the Stars team. Bryony Smith, captain, got 66. Kira Chatley got 61 and Alice Capsey got 64 not out. So really good performances there. And then against the Stars batting side, bowling-wise, for the Sunrisers, Grace Scrivens got 4 wickets for 42 runs, so really good bowling there. And for the batting, it was a good performance by some. Grace Scrivens, as well as being good with the ball, she also got 74 with the bat. And Amara Carr, 35, and then 10 from Cordelia Griffith, 19 from Naomi Ditani, and Maddie Villiers got 10 as well. So there were a few good scorers there, but yeah, they're not enough to drag the Sunrisers over the line, unfortunately. Next was Storm versus Lightning, where Western Storm won by 75 runs. And yeah, some good performances also by the top order for the Storm here. Alex Griffiths, 22, Georgia Hennessy, 11, Sophie Luff, captain, 48, just shy of a half century there. Fran Wilson, 43, and then a couple of 16s and 35 by Natasha Wraith. So good performances there. And then with the ball, it was Piper Cleary who took 3 for 45 for Lightning. And then, yeah, for the Lightning, the top order just couldn't really get going. Sarah Bryce, 11, Marie Kelly, 2, Catherine Bryce, 5. So they struggled to get going a bit, which was, disappointing from the Lightning. But hopefully they can bring it back and go again next round. But in the bowling attack, Danielle Gibson for the Western Storm got 2 for 26. Lauren Filer, 3 for 35. Lauren Parfit, 2 for 22. And Claire Nicholas, 1 for 36. So good performances there, and yeah, another good game from the Western Storm, which is interesting because coming off a not so great Charlotte Edwards Cup, so really good to see them winning again. Now for the Thunder vs Diamonds, the final of the 4 games that have happened so far, the Northern Diamonds were victorious, winning by 6 wickets with 45 balls remaining. Even though the Thunder did not take the win, they got off to a really good start with Emma Lamb, 82. Underneath her, Georgie Boyce, unfortunately, only getting 6. But Deandra Dottin, who was 26, I think a big surprise seeing her suddenly appear just before their game. But hopefully she can get going next game and really show what she's capable of what she did in the Fairbreak tournament. But yeah, Satyupai, 41 not out. And from the Diamonds bowling side, Catherine Brunt, no wickets for 45 runs. That's a bit of a harsh one there, but Casey Levick with the 2 wickets and Lizzie Smith with the 2 wickets as well. And then from the Northern Diamonds innings, it was the match-winning performance of Lauren Winfield-Hill with 93 runs, Holly Armitage with 47 runs, and Stair Callis with 35 not out, and Bess Heath with also 51 not out. So really good performances by the Diamonds team there, looking so strong. In the bowling side for the Thunder, it was Laura Jackson who took the 2 wickets, Alex Hartley taking 1, and Hannah Jones also taking 1. So that is the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy game so far. I think it's looking very good. You can't really suspect who's going to win, excluding the Vipers, because every team is winning and losing, and it's looking really good so far. But moving on, that is pretty much all the cricket that has happened this week, except for there's been a couple of WBBL signings. Maddie Green from New Zealand has signed with the Scorchers, who is joining Sophie Devine. Erin Burns has re-signed with the Sixers for a couple of years. Hannah Darlington has signed with the Thunder for many more years. Harmanpreet Kaur has re-signed with the Renegades, which is huge news, and Elise Falani has made the jump over to the Hobart Hurricanes as she is playing for Tasmania. Sasha Maloney has made the move from the Hurricanes to the Stars, and Heather Graham has also made the move from the Scorchers, the winning Scorchers side, to the Hurricane side. Tess Flintoff remains with the Stars, Josie Dooley and Carly Leeson remain with the Renegades. Taylor Vlamick has moved from the Hurricanes back to the Renegades, and Sophie Molyneux back with the Renegades, and Sophie Devine is back with the Scorchers. So that is where we're at with the WBL. Not long to go now, and there are going to be many more signings to come, which is going to be super exciting. Now, moving on, we have a guest this week. So last week I had a chat to Anika Learoyd, who is a New South Wales breaker and Sydney Thunder player. Now, it was really, really brilliant to talk to Anika because it's NAIDOC week here in Australia, and Anika is a First Nations player, so it was really incredible to hear her perspective on the First Nations round, and she also gave us a really brilliant insight on the Sydney Thunder shirts and explains the design behind the shirts. We also talked to Anika about what she's studying in uni and her plans for the future and what she's most looking forward to about the upcoming WBBL and WNCL season. So enjoy the interview with Anika Learoyd.
Learoyd's been going down the ground on 2 occasions. This time she goes across the ground to the mid-wicket boundary.
Striking here from Anika Learoyd. Seems to be loving this spin.
Welcome and thank you for joining me today. Could you just start off by telling me a little bit about where you are at the moment and where you're at with your cricket?
Yeah, sure. So I'm actually in Sydney at the moment. I'm living here full time. I've just started my 3rd year of the WNCL and coming into my 3rd year of Big Bash as well.
So going right back to the very beginning of your cricket journey, how did you very first start playing cricket?
So I always, as a kid, loved a game of like backyard cricket, beach cricket, you name it, I was playing it. And there's even photos of me at like 4 years old playing beach cricket with a bunch of guys. I probably scored like a duck off 100 odd balls, but I was still out there having a go. And so I got to about the age of 12 where I was starting to pester my dad to sign me up, and he agreed to sign me up for the next year, and it just kind of flew from there.
And who were your cricket idols growing up?
Well, I mean, the same as any girl at that age. I think Elise Perry was a huge one. And then I guess once I actually started watching a bit more female cricket and becoming aware of some of the other players that were in the game as well, I probably expanded that a fair bit, and as well into the male side as well. So I've always loved watching the way that Darcy Short especially goes about his batting and kind of how aggressive and destructive he can be when he gets away.
I mean, you said you looked up to Elise Perry, and then she was with the New South Wales team for a bit. I don't know if you played together, but I guess to play against her, that must be pretty crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I never had the privilege of playing with her, but I played against her a couple of times now for Big Bash or WNCL, and I remember I think it was last year during the Big Bash when I was actually playing a game against her, and She was out in the middle batting at the time, and I remember just while I was fielding, I had this kind of light bulb moment where I was like, "This is like I've achieved it in a way, you know. I'm out here playing against those that I used to look up to, and you know, I might not be as successful as they are yet, but like I'm getting myself there, you know. I'm up there competing against them, and that's the only way that I'm going to kind of guarantee myself any shot at success."
Yeah, that's incredible. Now, I guess going to WBBL 06, it was held in the bubble. Now,
Yep.
what were your thoughts on that? Because I know a lot of the older players were a bit hesitant and, you know, weren't feeling very great about it, but the younger ones were maybe a bit more accepting and a bit more okay with it. So what were your thoughts going into the bubble?
Yeah, I guess I was kind of halfway in between those two groups, in that, you know, I was a little apprehensive as to how it would go, not only for myself personally, but for other members of, I guess, all the teams. You know, like, people have different outlets of how they get away from cricket, and kind of confining them to one space and expecting them to still be able to do that is definitely a challenge. But at the same time, it was really exciting. I remember, like, in the first day, I think I was in the lift with like Meg Lanning or someone, and I was just kind of like, my jaw like nearly hit the floor, and I reckon my jaw was at level 1 before the lift was, because it was just insane to think that I was, all of a sudden I was like locked in with all these famous cricketers, and that was going to be my life for the next 8 weeks. And I think that's where I guess the youngsters kind of lapped that up, because the older experienced players had no chance of getting away from us. So we kind of just pinned them there, and we learned as much as we could off them in 8 weeks.
And you mentioned about not being able to have certain outlets and that kind of thing. What was your thing that you did to kind of keep yourself occupied when you were confined to that space?
Yeah, so I'm studying at the moment. I'm doing a Bachelor of Wildlife Science. So just kind of getting stuck into that on the off days, or my team, we actually had a pretty cool setup on our level, in terms of we had some jigsaws up and like a little mini fridge and some bean bags, where if we weren't playing or training, we'd quite often sit out there together and kind of have a chat and just like talk anything but cricket. And that was really refreshing as well, because it showed that we were, like, not only were we gelling on field, but we were quite happy to gel off field as well. Like, we were enjoying each other's company, even 6 weeks in.
Yeah, and I think from memory, that must have been the season that the Thunder won, because
It was, yes.
yeah, there was like
Yeah.
fairly like no crowds and that kind of thing against the Stars, I think it was. So I guess being within that group of, it was Heather Knight, Tammy Beaumont, what did they bring to the group, and how was it like being in and around that group of a winning team?
Yeah, it was phenomenal. So just to kind of spend, you know, 6-7 weeks with the likes of Tammy Beaumont, who's a star player in herself, but as well as like Heather Knight, who, like, there were times where you'd forget that she was the England captain. So to kind of be in there and amongst her and spending your time both on and off the field with her, and just learning and watching how she goes about her business in all aspects of her life, really, because we were like given real insight into everyone's lives while we were in there. It was hard to get away from each other in that sense. So it was really amazing to be able to like watch and learn off those types of players, because it's not something you come across every day.
No, definitely not. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So obviously, you know, that was that season held in that hotel, and then afterwards it was a bit more freedom. You're able to travel a bit. I know the Thunder played quite a few games down here in South Australia. So what was it like to, I guess, have a bit more freedom and be able to travel to play cricket elsewhere?
Yeah, so WBBL 06 was kind of my first taste of Big Bash, and for that to all be in the one hub was obviously very different to normal. And then WBBL 07, again, it was quite different to your ordinary season, in that we kind of had the hubs that we were staying at, and Thunder especially, like us and the Sixers both had to do quarantine on the way in, so that kind of added 2 weeks to our away from home time. But to then be on the road for, I think it was 8 weeks, maybe more in total, was pretty cool. And like, it was a big ask, but it was something that we were able to do.
And do you have a favorite place that you played when you were traveling?
Yes, I really enjoyed our time up in Mackay. I think we spent close to 10 days up there towards the end of the trip. And like on field, like it's an amazing little arena they've got up there, and the crowds that we were able to get in as well, especially for one of the night games against the Heat. But just spending the time off the field, you know, at the beach, or like obviously within reason, because it's quite dangerous up there, but at the beach or just somewhere out in the sun was a nice change from probably somewhere a little bit colder like Tassie or even Adelaide, to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, I saw many pictures that loads of people took of that one, I think it was one particular beach, and there was like kangaroos on it, and everyone took sunsets and sunrise. It just looked incredible.
Yeah, it was insane. That was, yeah, we had 2 separate trips there, 2 days in a row up to that particular spot, and I jumped in on both of them because I'm a little bit of a sucker for a sunrise, and to be able to go there, and like there's the kangaroos there, and a pretty amazing place as well, was a pretty cool way to start your morning.
Yeah, it looked it. So this year in the WBBL, they introduced the First Nations round. And obviously that would mean quite a lot to you and a lot of the other First Nation players. So can you just tell me a little bit about your background and what the round means to you?
Yeah, so it was really cool to be able to be involved in that, and wear our Indigenous jerseys as well. That's something that I wasn't, I guess, seeing that much of growing up. Especially, I was actually homeschooled, so I didn't get to do any of that in the schools either. Because I know NAIDOC Week and that kind of thing has gotten a lot bigger in recent years, especially in the schools. So to not be, I guess, around that that much growing up, it was really special to me to be able to do that, as well as combining it with my sport. So we did a fair bit of stuff off field as well. Sydney Thunder is really cool for that. So we had like our shirt presentation right at the start of the season. Actually, we did it like a smoking ceremony and a little bit of an education session for not just those who are in the playing 11, but like our whole squad as well.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say, obviously I am a Strikers fan, but Sydney Thunder is a very close second. I'm not just saying that, but it is. And the Thunder jerseys had to be my favorite. I had to get my hands on one.
Oh,
I got one
very
of the,
cool. How'd you manage that? Who'd you get? Porter.
Yes, because 14 was my number, and I was like, oh, I can't pass it up.
Yeah.
Because they auctioned them off, and I was like, oh, you know what? That is my favorite. I love the Thunder ones. They're incredible. Do you know a bit about the design of it, and can you explain a little bit about it?
Yeah. So myself and Hannah, we've both actually played a little bit of cricket with the artist who designed them, Marie Lotter. So we're in contact with her semi-regularly, and she also did a really cool education piece with our whole team again, kind of explaining the design of the shirts and what they each mean.
That's amazing.
If you want to hold it up, I can kind of point out what each of the things are on it as well. So we've got that big like circle in the middle with the like the boomerangs and everything around it. That's everyone coming together to play the game, and that represents us players in there as well. And then the dots around the outside a little bit more, they're actually like the past players. And I guess the legacy of Sydney Thunder. And then towards the top, you've got like elders and other important figures that have all led to like where we all are today, and especially how women's sport has evolved as well.
Yeah, I actually think it's so incredible how like just things like that have just so much meaning behind it. I think it's so
really cool. And
cool.
It was really cool for our whole squad to have that meeting with Ree, and her to explain that the meaning behind the shirt to those who didn't really know, who thought it was just a cool shirt anyway, but to have that meaning behind it explained to us as well, and she has a really cool way of explaining that. So for everyone to be able to hear that and really understand what they were wearing and why they were wearing it was something really special.
Yeah, that's great. How important do you think it is for younger Indigenous kids to be able to see the representation of, whether it's the round itself, whether it's, you know, the shirts or the players like yourself? How important do you think it is?
I think it's vitally important. You can't be what you can't see. So for them to be able to see those role models, I know for myself, seeing again the likes of Ash Gardner, Darcy Short, especially in the last like 5-10 years, where they've been able to become a little bit more vocal and kind of get behind the causes that they're each behind. It's really important that those kids are then able to see how inclusive cricket is, and how there are pathways out there, and they can achieve the things that they really want if they're willing to work hard enough for it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's already going places with the tournaments that you have. There are also like the underage Indigenous tournaments. I think you were part of one as well with the New South Wales team.
Yeah.
And then the round itself, so I think having all those different things that people can see, like you said, is so important. And definitely,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Now, still on last season, Rachel Haynes was unavailable, so Hannah Darlington obviously was captain and stepped up, only being 19 at the time. Now that must have been, well, you're very good friends with her, so I know it was very big in the media about, how's it going to go? She's quite young. How did you feel under her captaincy?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the opportunity to be able to work with Hannah in that space, in terms of like we as close as we are and everything, we were able to kind of it was a challenge at first. Like, we had to be able to find ways that we were able to kind of park that. And she was then my captain, and I was then just another player. So like once we found a way to do that, it worked really. It was quite fluent.
It was amazing to see someone of her talent and her age as well, just be able to kind of step into that position of someone like Rachel Haynes.
Yeah.
I think it was, really good to see. Now, you did also have quite a few different internationals come over this year. Shabnam Ismail was ruled out for injury, so Izzy Wong came in as a last minute replacement. And you also had Deepti Sharma and Smriti Mandana. So what did they bring to the team from, England and India? What did they bring over?
Yeah, Wongi's a real character. To be able to watch her make her test debut the other night was really special as well, actually. But to be able to get to know Wongi and learn a little bit about what she gets up to in England, on top of obviously Smriti is an amazing cricketer, and the knowledge she was able to bring to our group, and in this sense of this calm as well. She never looked panicked or anything like that. And I know that her and Phoebe got along really well. The Lefties Club, they started calling themselves. But her and Deepti had some little antics towards the end as well once she came out of her shell. They were a lot of fun, and they added this kind of this value to our group that we wouldn't have had without their culture, I guess.
And I guess you'll be tuning into the 100 then.
Definitely, yeah. We watched a fair bit of the 100 last year, but I think we'll definitely be tuning in for a few more matches this year.
Yeah, and like you said before, the test going on at the moment, isn't it just brilliant to see I think there was 4 made their debut for England, which was brilliant to see, and especially Izzy taking all the wickets she has so far, Laura Wolfart twice. It's it must be pretty cool to, I guess, see her, like, she came over to play for the Thunder as, I'd say, quite an unknown player here. People probably didn't know who she was, so to kind of play with her there and now see her on the big screen must be pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. When she was over here, getting to know a little bit more about her and kind of where she was in the England setup was really cool as well. And obviously she's a class player and bowls some absolutely unplayable balls, and can hit a long ball as well, as we saw at Karen Rolton. But she's a phenomenal player, and to be able to see her deservedly make her debut and watch from the screen was pretty cool in itself. But I would have loved to have been there, but there was no chance of that.
Well, I mean, look, hopefully a few of those internationals could come back over next year, because they were game changers there, weren't they? Smriti with the bat and Izzy with the bat and ball. They were pretty game changers, especially that night at Cam Rolton. That was something else.
Yeah, she really got us back in that game, and we were absolutely no hope before then.
Yeah, I was, to be fair, like, I was sitting there and I was like, I think the Thunder have got this.
Really? I don't think we ever got that far. Like, we never said we were completely out of it, but I don't think we at any stage felt in complete control during that chase.
Yeah, because it was especially Amanda Wellington, and she knows Amanda Wellington, so it was like she knows how she's going to bowl, and I was like, it was just 6 after 6, and I was like, Right. What's gonna happen?
This is not good. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, now I guess onto the WNCL. It was a bit of a different one this year, I guess, as well, because from a bunch of different teams, loads of people went away for like the World Cup and all that kind of stuff. So the New South Wales lost Healy, Haynes, and Gardner. So a few of the younger players had to kind of step up. So what were the initial thoughts of going into the season, because you did start with them, to then have them go away? What were the talks around that?
Yeah, so I think early on in the season we kind of identified that was going to happen. We were going to have some games, especially towards the back end, where we didn't have those players, and the same for the other teams, to be fair. So do have a very young squad, but one that we back each other nonetheless. We have some really very young players at the moment, and to be able to see them kind of step up and take on this opportunity that's been handed to them is really cool. I think the season, especially that Phoebe Litchfield had, was a really good one, and one of the knocks she had down in Junction was just a testament to the amount of work she puts in and how much she loves her cricket, and how I think she'll be able to fill those. They are big boots to fill, but I think she'll be able to fill those in the coming years.
And what are your plans for next season? What are you hoping to achieve within the Breakers squad?
Yeah, so I'm hoping to kind of build on, I guess, you could almost call them foundations that I laid for myself last year with the bat during the WNCL. So to be able to kind of convert a couple more of those 30s, and I think I got 150. So to be able to try and convert those to maybe 50s and 80s rather than 30s and 50s would be a goal for mine straight off the bat. But on top of that, I think kind of cementing myself into the squad as a little bit more of a top order bat who's dependable as well is definitely up there.
And overall, whether it be Big Bash or WNCL, what are you most looking forward to about the upcoming season?
I think a chance to get a fair bit of travel in unrestricted. I haven't really had a taste of that all that much yet in my 2 years. Although towards the back end of WNCL last year it was a little bit more normal, but there was still a fair few restrictions, and we were living under restrictions ourselves that others probably didn't see, because we were that keen on playing the games that we wanted to make sure we were there no matter what, and there wouldn't be any COVID scares or anything like that around our squad. So I think kind of getting an idea of what a normal season might actually look like would be up there.
Yeah, and the WNCL schedule was released. I think it was yesterday morning now for us. And yeah, like I agree with you. It's going to be very exciting, and I'm finally going to be able to watch some games here, which was
exactly
just WA playing over here. So to be able to, New South Wales coming to Adelaide, so that's going to be super exciting. Do you have a state that you are most excited to go on and play in?
I don't know, to be fair. I am actually, although it's not really a state, I am looking forward to getting out to Orange here in New South Wales. I haven't ventured out there yet, and the fact that we get to go and play a couple of games out there is going to be pretty cool. But yeah, going to Adelaide will be a good one. I don't think we go to Perth this year, but again, don't go to Queensland. But the other kind of, we're heading a little bit more south, so I guess any of those games will be nice. Although I would like to go to Perth eventually.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned earlier about studying wildlife science. Can you tell me a little bit about how that first came about and where your interest for that appeared from, I guess?
Yeah, so I grew up near Coffs Harbour on the north coast of New South Wales, and I grew up on a property that's about 22 acres that's kind of ex-dairy farm. And my dad and myself, my whole family have planted, I think it's around 3,000 native trees on the property. So we brought all the native wildlife back in, and I would spend as much time as I could in my childhood out in the backyard watching the birds, watching the animals, and kind of learning as much as I could off them. So it was quite a natural progression for me, really, to try and get into that field, and the Bachelor of Wildlife Science is how I'm going to go about that.
That's amazing. Do you know what you want to do as a career, I guess, because you've obviously playing professional cricket? Is there space to kind of juggle the two, or what's that looking like for you?
Yeah, so I don't see myself being able to juggle the two career-wise. in terms of the wildlife science, I'd love to get into wildlife conservation and management. And that's probably going to require me to move somewhere quite regional. So I'm not sure that the two careers are going to match up all that well, but it means that my post-cricket career is looking quite exciting, and it's something that it's not going to be like, oh, I'm retiring from cricket now. What I'm gonna be quite excited and have something that I'm looking forward to and to throw all my energy and time into as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hopefully, you can stick doing both as long as you can. Make the most of
That'd
all
be
that.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you have a favourite teammate that you've ever played with?
Oh, straight away, two come to mind. Phoebe Litchfield is just this absolute energizer bunny. There's never a dull moment with her around. Her antics are second to none. But myself and Sammy Jo Johnson, we get along really well as well. So off field, we spend a bit of time together, and we enjoy that time, and we have quite a few things in common. We grew up quite similarly up on the North Coast, so to have someone to kind of bond with there is quite nice.
Yeah, it looks like such a fun group to be a part of, and everyone looks like they're just having a ball out there when you're playing cricket. So yeah, it looks like a great group to be a part of.
Oh, it definitely is. Like the players and how much we genuinely enjoy each other's company is something that you don't find absolutely anywhere, and the culture that brings with it is really special.
Yeah. Now, do you have a favourite cricket memory? I guess any format, any time throughout your life?
It'd be hard to go past WBBL 06 win, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good one. Well, you know what? I think it's actually very, as much as it being, COVID and it being a very tough situation to be in, not many people can say they won like a national tournament while being like restricted in this fancy WBBO hotel. So.
Oh, 100%. Looking back now, it's a pretty amazing achievement to think that we got through that so soundly as a squad, and we were rewarded at the end with the trophy. It was kind of just rewards for how we managed to kind of manage ourselves and our squad throughout that experience.
Yeah, it must have made it kind of just feel all worthwhile that it was, you didn't go through the
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Now, to finish off, I've got some this or that questions, quite some quick fire questions. Some cricket related, some not cricket related. All right. So the first one is T20 or Test cricket?
I'd have to go T20.
Okay, cool. TV or film?
Film.
Okay. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Okay, yep.
Yep.
Beach or backyard cricket?
Beach.
Okay, yeah, good. Nice in the summer. Yeah, down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much nicer. Some speckies into the water.
Yeah. Morning or night?
Morning. Definitely a morning person.
Orange juice or apple juice?
I'll go orange.
Good choice. Now, would you rather hit 3 sixes to win a game or take a hat trick to win a game?
3 sixes. All the way. Yeah. If I'm bowling the last over as a leggy, we're in trouble.
Now, pineapple on a pizza, yes or no?
Definite yes.
Good. What is like your go-to pizza that you...
At the moment, I'm kind of leaning towards like a supreme, a little bit of everything. Yeah, and with supreme with pineapple, ideally.
Yeah, that's what like a lot of people have just been like. They'll say their favorite, and then they'll just with pineapple. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
I'll go with
that. Add a pineapple.
Yeah. Now, keeping your chocolate in the fridge or in the pantry?
Growing up, we always kept it in the fridge, but I do. If it's colder, I don't mind keeping it in the pantry, so it's just that little bit softer.
Okay, yeah, it's very like. It's a hard question for here because of the weather.
It depends on what season.
But yeah, no, that's it. You did well with the this or that's there. I can agree with.
Awesome. Okay, I felt like a test towards the end.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's all I've got for today.
Awesome.
Thank you very, very much for joining me. I really appreciate your time.
No problem.
And yeah, good luck for all the upcoming cricket. It's all starting to kick back in now. So good luck and thank you for joining me again.
Awesome, no problem. Thank you.
Learoyd's been going down the ground on 2 occasions. This time she goes across the ground to the mid-wicket boundary.
Striking here from Anika Learoyd. Seems to be loving this spin.
So yeah, that was the interview with Anika. We really hope you enjoyed listening. Next week, Ollie will be back and we will talk more about the cricket that's gone on and more about the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy. Next week, we will have another guest. In the meantime, you can follow us on Instagram or Twitter at howsthatTCP, or you can send us an email at howsthatthecricketpodcast@gmail.com. But that is all from me this week, and thank you for listening.
How's